owning that space more. And I love also now seeing more women or other folks
Hmm.
like in those spaces, like taking up space, I feel like has been really empowering.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Truth Talks, the podcast that gives you real strategies for sustainable fitness transformation. Today, we have a special episode, another client feature episode, and I am here with Rachel. Rachel, how's it going today?
Hi, it's going good. It's going great now.
Great. Okay, best day of your life? Yeah.
Yes, obviously. Yes. First
Officially? Yeah.
podcast, so best day. Yes.
Sweet, sweet. But you do a lot of talking on calls for work, so
Yes.
you're used to this. Yeah. I'm really excited to have you on because I was saying even before we hopped on that I think you have a lot of relatability to the type of lifestyle that you live, and also have, I guess, crushed through a lot of self-limiting beliefs that some people
Mm.
have in regards to their fitness journey. So I'm really excited to dive into that. Before we kind of get to where we're at now and everything like that, I want to hear how you even started in your fitness journey. Like, what inspired you? Your very first time, you were like, okay, I want to do something to progress with my fitness, health, whatever. Do you remember when that was?
That's such a good question. I don't even know. I have played soccer since I was a little kid. So I always was sort of doing that at least, or in high school. It was probably university, maybe when I started actually going to like the gym,
Okay.
and probably just like a bit too much of like social stuff in university, gained a little weight in first year, and so probably more around that. And got very into yoga and hot yoga for a long time. But yeah, it was probably like university, maybe like early 20s that I started, but not as seriously, I guess.
Gotcha, gotcha. And that was kind of like, yeah, we all did the freshman 15 type thing in that in
Yeah.
university. So was
Yeah.
it kind of reactive to that, or was it
Yeah, I think probably, and honestly, just that I think we got a gym included in
okay?
the
Yeah,
like tuition or whatever, and maybe I'm trying to remember if I went by myself or had friends who went, but just kind of thought, and probably for like stress relief, I imagine,
yes.
as I'm thinking through it. But yeah, I think too is partially as you get a little older, even in your 20s versus being in teens, like playing soccer is probably like I need to run a little more than like just the soccer
Yeah.
once a week. But yeah.
And so when you got into the gym, was it additional running and like a little bit of weights or?
Yeah, I think it probably would have been like really low weights and like honestly probably not knowing at all what I was doing, just like kind of
Okay.
watching other people and figure some things out. I didn't have a trainer or anything until yeah, like 30s, I think. I might have done like at gyms sometimes when you sign up, you get like a free assessment kind of thing, and so I kind of had a trainer maybe that way, but not
Mhm.
yeah, more regularly for a while.
Gotcha. That's super cool. And when you kind of got the ball rolling, was it a time where you decided to get more specific in one direction with like a specific goal? Was that when, you had more guidance like later in life, or what did that happen even before that? Like, was there a time where you're like, okay, I want to get more specific to a certain goal?
Yeah, good question. I know in grad school, but again, it was more reactionary. I think there was a similar like grad school 10 or 15, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
I started doing hot yoga more because I really liked it both for a workout, but for also mindfulness and
yeah.
slowing down and stress management. I kind of went through the first semester a stress case and then thought I need to change something up and focus on my health a bit more. So yeah, I started getting more active then, and I think I was going to the gym maybe I was at Queen's University as well. But yeah, probably more focused around like weight loss, fat loss, but also strengthening and sort of stress resilience. And
Cool.
then yeah, around a couple years ago, was more I worked with a trainer for the first time before you guys doing kind of similar online work, but it was very crunched. It was like a 2 month. It was before John, my husband, and I were doing a big like 6 month sabbatical and trip from work. And honestly, I was like, I want to look really good in our
Yeah,
travel
yeah.
pictures.
That's
I
cool. That's
also
cool. Yeah.
thought it would be good to work out a bit more, but it was a little bit more aesthetically driven at the time. And again, I'd always been pretty good about being active. Like I've always still played soccer, I still play as like a proper adult, and was doing yoga or kind of doing my own thing at the gym, but just felt like
Hmm.
I didn't really have like a plan and I wasn't being consistent or sort of dedicated to it. So at that time, I did also definitely want to just get stronger and more like functional strength,
Yeah.
but it was at that time a bit of, yeah, like cutting fat loss and getting some muscle, and I looked really good in our travel pictures, so it was
Good.
worth it. But I would say maybe not sustainable. Like it was a
Gotcha.
very intentional, like short kind of thing, and then to kind of I think the amount, it was like running 5 times a week and 4 or 5 weight training sessions on top of, yeah, being very busy. I just didn't find it sustainable, and I know we'll get here, but yeah, that's more
Hmm.
why I wanted to do get a personal trainer again, and do focus more on something that's like a sustainable, longer term sort of habit thing. So I wasn't kind of like checking in, checking out of yeah, more gym and fitness in that way, in and out of like specific goals, and just trying to like find a way to keep it as a habit a bit longer term.
I like that. I like that. The cool thing about what you talked about is you also recognize the mental health benefits pretty young, it sounds like, and you kind
Mhm.
of knew that that was like a good outlet for you. And I think a lot of people start by thinking so much about physical, whereas you kind of recognize that, but you also recognize the mental part right away, it sounds like, which I think is really cool because a lot of people don't realize that until later, and we're very
Mhm.
like physically appearance driven, which
Mhm.
is great too. Don't get me wrong, like, you know, I love that as well, but I think we neglect to realize how much of, as you said, like that stress resilience portion comes from just, you know, being in good shape as well. You know, it's a common thing where people kind of go through these like sprints with their fitness journey, but then it's again, not, as you said, not as sustainable, and then they might see great results, but then they don't stick. And then
Mhm.
what we're trying to do is like almost bridge the gap between like that and then also making it into a lifestyle at the same time, as you're saying. And like, okay, how can we like keep this going and continue to make progress, but it doesn't seem like a way where we're wearing handcuffs, and you know, I can integrate it because you're a busy person too, right? So we need to make sure that our plan kind of you know, encompasses the lifestyle that you have outside of the gym and outside of nutrition, which is kind of what I want to talk about a little bit, in terms of how do you manage your day to day? Because right now, like, we're on a 4 day training split right now,
Mhm.
and you know, well, obviously you got to hit your steps and you got work and you got, you know, the animals in the house and everything, and John to take care of because, you know,
Yeah.
he's obviously, you need to take care of him. So how, what are like the main skills that you think you've developed over time, or main strategies in order to balance what you're balancing?
Yeah, all good questions. And on top of that, just, yeah, regular life. Like I am very social, and John, my husband's really social. So especially in the summer, I would say it was extra challenging, and a little bit why we both wanted to sign up in the spring, because we're both pretty good fall through winter because it's dark. You don't want to go anywhere about
Yeah.
going to the gym and being more consistent. But it's like when it's patio season and cottages, it like doesn't feel fun to go. So we hoped that having a trainer even earlier would, one, help us just get more focused on it, but also, yeah, get us ready for summer and help us stay a little bit more accountable, having like the
Mm-hmm.
check-ins and everything. I think in the beginning, when I started, which I guess was just over I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 months ago, I was like experimenting a lot with trying to figure out, yeah, like when to get in and go to the gym. And I know I sent you a bunch of like frantic messages probably early on, because there's definitely, even like I have familiarity with the gym and everything, but like hadn't been doing weight training for a long time. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely the workouts, took a little bit longer in the beginning, and trying to get used to where everything is in the gym and all that kind of stuff. So what's I've found works for me now, and I'm not a morning person at all, but this has helped me be a morning person, is when I first started, I think I was trying to go more after work or sort of at lunchtime as possible. But sometimes, like, just knowing my own energy levels, and like I would tell people to do what works for them if they can, and they have flex,
For
obviously,
sure.
in their day. But I would find I get so tired by the end of the work day. And
Yeah.
then, like you said, you got to cook dinner and take the dogs out and do whatever, that it just was hard, or it would be really busy at the gym. And I have no patience, and I hate when it's
Yeah.
busy at the
I'm the
gym.
same way. Yeah.
So I started trying to be a morning person and going in the morning. So like friends who know me, I feel like have been like, what? Because yeah, just not a thing. But especially like I have a 9 to 5 job and I have a part-time coaching, but executive coaching, career coaching business. Doing it in the morning means like I get it out of the way in the morning. I
Yep.
usually helps me wake up and be a little bit less grumpy, even though I'm kind of like grumpy and groggy going. It also helps having a buddy. So John and I now are back to going together in the morning. So we try to go at like 6:30, and then that usually
Nice.
means we're back around 8, and that's still like we normally start kind of pretty typical 9 to 5, but it means we can still have a little bit of a morning, like get the dogs out, have a breakfast. It doesn't feel super rushed.
Yep.
I was going a little later at one point, and he was going very early, like at 5, because he is who he is, morning person. And I was kind of going, it still worked sort of like at 7 or 8, but as that was allowed in my workday, it was fine. But things got a little bit busier sort of in the fall, so I didn't want to run into time at work and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. Luckily, dogs are definitely a hack for getting your steps. And
Yes.
we have 2, and they need to walk or they are like literally insane. So that does help even when it's bad weather. But I do try to get a lot of micro steps in. I was actually just talking to John about this today because I was surprised at the end of the day my steps weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, because I do lots of small things like in our house where I work, like there's a bathroom on the main floor, but also on the floor below. And it sounds silly, but like I make myself go to the bathroom like on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bottom floor, or I like go get water from the kitchen instead of like from the tap in the bathroom, like just to add, like it's a flight and a half of stairs. But if I
Yep.
do it lots during the day, it kind of sneaks it in. I like walk during sets or between sets at the gym to try to get more steps in. Like just sound like I had dishes and I was like, I'm gonna take one dish down at a time, which like kind of ridiculous. But again, it like kind of helped.
It adds up. It all
It adds
counts.
up.
Yeah.
And I do also have a walking pad that I invested in
Okay.
last
Yeah.
year, even before actually starting the training, because
Nice.
just when it's really bad weather or like the dogs won't even walk, it's nice to do. I have like a sit stand desk, and I know some people struggle with it, but I actually find it really great. I just put it really low and you barely even notice that you're walking
Yeah.
actually for a bit. I don't do it during meetings. I feel that's a whole other level.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are like great. I would feel not comfortable. But yeah, when I'm just thinking or doing email work, it's easy. And I've heard actually that walking helps sort of do something in your brain that helps you be more creative. So like often when we're dog walking, I feel like I, come up with solutions to
Yeah.
problems at work. So that really helps. Yeah, that's a lot of things. It does help for sure, obviously, having a partner who, like, we signed up to do it together. When I worked with a coach a few years ago, I did do it by myself and not with him. And it's good because it made me still be accountable to myself. And I'm like, I'm doing this for me, not,
Yep.
for a partner. But it is easier because, they'd have snacks and then you'd be like, I want snacks, but I'm on a deficit or whatever. So it makes it easier for like, even in the morning, we've started knowing, like, I know his macros for his scrambled
Oh, wow.
eggs of like
Yeah.
how many grams of egg whites and whatever. So we'll kind of be like, okay, you make the coffee and you pre-make the egg
Nice.
macro, like
I love
whatever.
that.
So it
That's
helps
so
for
cool.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because we're gonna interview John later this
Mhm.
week on another episode. So you guys are gonna see Rachel's side and then
Yeah, it'll be
John's
interesting.
side and compare
He's gonna
notes.
talk smack for sure.
Yeah, but the cool thing is, it sounds like you have like your systems down, and we love
Yes.
systems. Hence the name, Truth Body
Yeah.
Systems. It's about creating systems in your life so that we can go back to that point of making it sustainable and making this kind of like habit integration. A big part of that is systems, like a systems to check your boxes, so it doesn't seem like we're pulling teeth for in order to make progress all the time. Don't get me wrong, like doing hard work is still hard work in the gym. Like you still got to show up, you got to do it. But it sounds like you're starting to figure out like what works for you, especially with the type of schedule that you have. And even going from somebody who's not a morning person, like if you can do it, then other people could use the morning slot.
100%.
So I always see some like notes come up when I like in my first early morning like round of check-ins. I see like you finish your workout pretty early. I'm like, oh wow, and I see like I was tired or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's usually
Like,
grumbles basically,
yeah.
but I'm like, I'm tired, but I did it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But no, that's really relatable, I think, for a lot of people. And I think when it comes to that social aspect, that's what I want to ask you about next, because obviously that's like your during the week kind of routine. It sounds like okay, we get an idea. But when it comes to the social aspect, like what has been some strategies or some mindsets that you've instilled in your life that has helped you stay on track while also spending time with friends? You guys did a lot of cottage weekends, stuff
Mhm.
like that. So
Yeah, for sure. So definitely I am a planner and system. So like I always try to kind of look ahead, even like a week or two to see what's going on for the week and like plan out the workouts, like even sometimes a couple weeks in advance. Because yeah, if we know like we're going to a cottage like Thursday through Sunday, we're like, oh gosh, we have to ideally front load the workouts to try to make sure we still get them in. Even as you know, I had to travel like a lot more for work this year than I
yeah,
expected. Twice up north in Nunavut and then once like northern Ontario. And it was kind of last minute. And amazingly, we could kind of adjust what I was doing. But
hmm
yeah, trying to adjust that. And then for social stuff, I would say for sure we're not, drinking alcohol for sure as much as we used to, which I mean, not that we were crazy drinkers anyway, but it's nice now because I feel like when we do, it's more like quality. It's like a
yeah,
nice glass of wine or like craft beer or whatever, and less frequent because just when you're trying to be more active and calorie counting for sure when I was in a deficit, I'm like, it's not worth it. So we definitely switched more. There's lots of great like non-alcoholic options now. If people, do still like, I like the taste of beer, so we bought a bunch of like zero Coronas and Sapporos, and we would bring
nice.
those to like cottage weekends. Because if you're feeling like the pressure, not even pressure, but you just feel like, oh, you're kind of
Yeah,
left out, not doing anything, like you can't even tell if you pour it into a glass, they look literally the same. And actually, I feel like we encouraged more of our friends to like try them. And it's like, yeah, you're just
cool.
hot camping, you just want a cool drink.
Yeah.
And we'd try to plan out meals and stuff as much as we could too, and pre-plan, especially for protein, like camping. So I feel like our friends and family all just see us now with either like, it's not an ad, but like Premier Protein, like little
Yeah.
pre-made ones, or like protein bars or whatever. We just like always have them. And when I traveled, especially up north in
Mhm.
Nunavut, luckily I do eat fish now, but was mostly vegetarian. But yeah, I just brought like I brought like protein powder and tons of stuff to
Mhm.
try to plan ahead as best as possible. But um, yeah, and then we just let our friends know also. So like we
Cool.
would tell them in advance, and actually a lot of them we suggest we can help plan the meals and try to keep it like at the time we were both in a deficit, so we did a bunch of like grilled veggies and fish or whatever, and our friends actually really liked
Mhm.
it and we're like, oh, we should cook maybe more like this or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, planning and talking worked really well, and then just adjusting some of the things we might normally do, and then not feeling guilty for the couple times we do, it's a
Yeah.
birthday and you're gonna have cake and whatever. Like I think what's been helpful mindset wise is like realizing that it is really like progress over perfection, and
Mhm.
like showing up, and like it's, you can have cake and you can have a couple drinks at Christmas or whatever,
Yeah.
the holidays, but like just getting back on plan, which you've really helped with
Yes.
for sure, for like mindset wise. Like you'll notice a bit of a change in weight or whatever, but then it's been interesting to see like, oh yeah, it does go, you go back to normal basically after
Mhm.
a week or so. So as long as you don't keep doing it, obviously. So that's been really helpful for sure.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because it's like when you have the mindset of this is a 1 month challenge or 8 week challenge or 16 week, whatever, then it ends up being this phase. And when you mess up, you feel like the whole thing's ruined. But when you have
Hmm.
the perspective of I'm just in this continual self progression, phase, just indefinitely kind of thing, and not to make it to seem
Yeah.
like but then you're less worried about these little hiccups, and that's why I try to communicate to also a lot of people who really want to tackle their goals hard tend to have an on or off type mindset,
Hmm.
which plays in the favor when people are all on. But I've seen a lot of personalities that do really well in their fitness journey, but then when they're off, they're like really off, and
Yes.
they have a very tough time like getting back on it.
Mhm.
So that's why trying to preach the mindset of okay, what's the big deal if okay, you had a couple drinks, you went a bit over your calories, like did the world end? No, let's just get back on it tomorrow. And as you said, over time, like it doesn't have an effect unless you make it have an effect by then falling off track even more and not picking back up, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's a really big thing. And I think you guys did a pretty good job over the summer. And I like how you mentioned you knew that summer you needed more accountability. And that's where you actually started. Whereas people's mindset typically would be the opposite. It
Right.
would be, oh, the summer, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I'm just going to start in the fall. Then the fall comes up, they're like, work's really busy. I'm going to start in winter. Then winter comes up, they're like, Christmas is coming. Then
Mhm.
and they're like, oh, New Year's great. We're going to Mexico in 2 months, right? Like there's always that kind of thing. Whereas you recognize, okay, we need more accountability during this time. And think about how much progress you made during that time. So imagine
Yeah.
if you hadn't started, right? Which
Mhm.
leads me to my next question is like, obviously I have my perspective on like, where we started, where you are now. But I want to ask you kind of from your perspective, like where was your starting point when we first started together? And then kind of where have you gone?
Yeah, for sure. Nobody can see my like jacked muscles. I should have
Yeah,
planned better.
yeah, your massive
Um,
biceps, you
my
just
huge, I
flex
know,
on
I can't see them in my shirt. They're gonna rip through my sweater. But no, I feel like when we started, I at the time was definitely still active. Like again, I was probably doing like yoga or Pilates like 2, 3 times a week, and then had soccer like once or twice a week. So I was feeling like in good shape, but I did want to again get more into strength training and really specifically more like functional strength training, like in a good way for me, less about sort of the aesthetics and what it looks like. That would was just sort of like bonus after if that happens. But I really had just been doing a lot of like, and I'm not that old, but a lot of research about aging and women, and it's really important, to start some of
Mm-hmm.
these habits now so that it's easier,
Yes.
as you get older. And it's really good, yeah, for your health and well-being, your bones, like all good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I came into it, I think I have actually like fat loss. I feel like I have lost like 10 to 15 pounds maybe since we started, which at the time I like didn't sort of think I had to lose. I mean, I knew like it would be more leaner, which, is good for lots of things. But yeah, I just feel more confident, and just actual strength. Like I know I told you one of the funny wins I felt like I had was like, traveling, like I could carry all my own stuff and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like dying, sweating or
Yeah.
putting my stuff up in the carry-on thing. I was like, I don't need anybody, I can do it.
Yeah.
And like, I'm a little bit of a klutzy person. I think I told you like I should have fallen a couple times this year, like on slippery rocks swimming at a cottage or ice, and like didn't, and felt like, oh, I feel really strong. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I totally would have fallen or, potentially gotten injured or something, if not. But yeah, it feels good. Like I feel just more confident. I feel like I have a lot more energy also than
Cool.
sort of before. And though I still love like yoga and soccer and that kind of thing, I wanted to, yeah, integrate more ongoing sort of weights and strength training, which is
Mm-hmm.
also good for soccer and
Oh yeah,
longevity, important for like injury prevention. I see a lot of
definitely.
people get injured at like rec sports because that's like all they do and they're not
Yes.
training other things, especially as we get older. Like I'm in mid 30s. I've seen a lot of like 30-year-olds get injured lately. Yeah, but I feel like I've had great progress and it's been nice having it be like slower and not so crunch that I was kind of doing
Mm-hmm.
it before, because that was for me what I wanted. And John and I often joke, we'll be like, okay, 4 days a week, only for the rest of our life, like
Yeah.
to try to
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
be in the mindset of like it's over, in six
Yes.
months or whatever. Like
Good.
of it's not ideally gonna end, like even if you end up ending, your coaching relationship for a
Yeah.
time or whatever, it's like no, this keeps going, like
Yeah.
ideally,
Yeah.
even if you do. So yeah.
For sure, for sure. If you want it to be a lifestyle, like we're pretty much in our fitness journey until we die. And I know that sounds
Right.
morbid, but like
Yeah.
we kind of are, right? And
Yeah.
in one way, shape, or form. So, but once the habits are super integrated, you don't think of it as, oh, I'm going to gym again this week. It's more
Mhm.
like this is just what I do, and this is how
Yeah.
I just this is just how I live. And it gets easier when your habits are so ingrained versus like the first time you're trying to instill new habits. It feels like, oh my gosh, this is challenging, right? But then once you do it over and over again, you're like, this is kind of just what I do now, and we're good to go. I think that's really cool. And I think for you also, I know we've done some good form review, so that I think your lifting has come a long way from where you started too. And also when you first started, I don't know if you remember, but those were only at home workouts with like the dumbbell and the bench.
I forgot.
Right?
Yeah.
And now we're at the gym lifting some good weights.
So
So
like little 3 pound like lat raises, and now I mean it's still lower, but yeah, I was thinking about that the other day of just even when you feel like you haven't had a lot of progress, like where you were even 3 months ago or something, for sure.
Yeah, and also like you mentioned, the strength and the functionality, but what I was trying to say to you is we need to advocate for more women to focus on strength training, not only from the health and longevity, energy, and bone density thing, which is the biggest one, and injury prevention, et cetera, but also the look that they want a lot of times is going to happen from actually getting really strong. So by focusing on getting strong, and obviously we dialed in nutrition too, your body changed a lot. And we went the opposite way of getting bulky, which a lot of women don't want to strength train still because of that. But it's like, if you were to
it's
look
really
at Rachel,
hard to get bulky lately. Like I'm trying, and it's been a while. It's like, it's true.
Yeah, you would not think Rach, if you saw her, you'd say, oh, she's jacked, she's got some muscle, but she is nowhere even close to bulky. And that's why I find it hilarious that that's still a myth. But we need to, this is why I want to have these conversations, because we still need to encourage women to, hey, let's pick up some heavy things and put them back down repeatedly. It's good for us,
for sure.
So,
agreed. Or even I was thinking like, my Pilates or yoga teachers, like, would be very fit, and some of them more like muscle defined than others. And like, because I know some of this stuff, I'd be like, there's no way they're only doing yoga or Pilates, like to get sort of the specific like look or like the big shoulders or whatever. But they don't talk about that obviously in their yoga class. So people just assume like, oh, well, I want to look like that yoga teacher, so I'm just going to do like 7 yoga workouts a week. But you don't also know what other people are doing. And then I'd see the teachers like at the gym lifting weight, and I'm like, that's, so I feel like that's the thing too online, even if like following a lot of like fitness influencers and stuff, like I feel like I've heard a lot about women especially, where they advertise like, all I do is like this or that, and it's like, there's no way, like you must have at least a few years ago done some strength training, or just not possible.
Yeah, it's funny, right? It's like these 30-minute ab blaster at home things, and then the ladies in like amazing shape. It's either sometimes there's just genetic freaks out there where they can just do any sort of workout and they just look fantastic, but a lot of times like they have a complete like protocol on the side, and then they just film that because that's what gets views, which is unfortunate because then we're looking at it, we're like, 30-minute ab blaster, that's what I need. And then we do that and we're like, why didn't we see any results, right? So I think that's a really, really good point. And like, what would you say was the most empowering part of kind of watching yourself develop in terms of your physique, your mindset, your like habits and rituals? Like what was the most empowering part of that kind of self-development process, I would say?
Yeah, great question. I was thinking about when I did start going into the gym again, because you're right, I forgot I started at home. At my old gym, there was an all women's sort of area, which I really liked. And I was only going there. And then I remember when I was starting to lift heavier, I was like, oh, I need to leave this area because there's not enough like heavier weights or whatever. And I felt so self-conscious going into the like, all whatever unisex area, and just partially my own thing, but not wanting to be looked at, or like I had people approach me a couple times and I'm just like, I have these little headphones on, like obviously don't talk to me. But feeling like owning that space more. And I love also now seeing more like women or just other folks like in those spaces, like taking up space, I feel like has been really empowering. And I was joking with John, but there's a lot of younger, because we go to like a cheap gym now, which is like, all I need is weights, that's fine. But there's a lot of younger guys who go to the gym, and I said to John, like, I keep seeing these young guys like check out my weights and like
and try to one up you
lifting beside them or whatever. And I said to John, I'm like, I need probably fighting training, but I feel very like, I could take you. Like,
that's too
not
funny.
that I'm going around fighting people, but it feels more empowering of like, just being a woman and walking around in the world of like, feeling more confident in your skin, but also like feeling more confidence to like take up like literal space, but also, like mental space, I guess, in your life.
and be capable. Now, the real question is, did you have sleeves on at the gym or not?
No, not that time. So they were
So,
looking at the guns for sure. But yeah, sometimes I don't, but it is yeah funny. But yeah, it just it's nice seeing other like women more there and stuff, and I try to like be encouraging of other
nice.
people
Cool.
at the gym too. Yeah, and just also like more specifically realizing it's not as hard as I think I thought it was, or like we had talked about like self-limiting beliefs. Like I think
Hmm.
with so much going on, it's easy to be like, well, I need to like work earlier in the morning, or I need to do this or that, or I don't have time. But like just being able to do whatever you can do, even if it's not 4 or 5 a week. Like I try to talk to a lot of my friends who are parents, because I'm not a human parent also, but I've been really inspired because like I've been posting more, and some of my friends are like, damn it, like I need to start working out, and like they're figuring it out the best that works for them. So they
Yeah.
do, only like lunchtime, shorter 30 to 45
Perfect.
minutes or in the morning or whatever. But like there's not, yeah, one approach that works, but just like making time and space for it, and trying to prioritize that for yourself, like for
Hmm.
again your health and your mental well-being. Like it's becoming more now, like you said, it was Monday this morning. I was like, okay, like I'm going to the gym. It's Monday. Like I know that.
Yeah.
And it helps me be more productive and in a better mood for work
Yes.
for the rest of the day, for sure.
No, that's awesome. And I think people intimidate themselves with what they think the journey has to be like, but there's
Right.
no hard rule. We have still a lot of clients who train like 3 times a week full body
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and see great progress and like they're happy with that. I think that sweet spot for most people is 4. For people that are very serious or have more time, like 5 is awesome. But like I would say 80% of our clients train 4 days a week, maybe
Hmm.
like 3 4 days a week in that area. And you can do a lot as long as it's well structured. And I think in our fitness journey, if you're really busy and if you're maybe your parent or I guess what do you call like your fur babies, or is that what you call your or whatever,
Whoever.
if you
Yeah.
have those or are busy with
Yeah.
those, right? You need to think about what are the best like return on investment things I can put my effort into in my fitness journey. So like what are
Yeah.
the main needle movers I can do and just go in on those, and then everything else don't worry about the fluff. I think if people took that kind of mindset versus I need to be 6 times a week and 2 hours of cardio a day and all these things, like I couldn't even, I don't think I could do that, right?
Yeah.
Like and I like I'm religious about this stuff, right? I've trained 5 days a week. I hit a step goal, I hit my protein and calorie goal, and that's that. The rest of my
Hmm.
time is working, doing this stuff, and hopefully spending some time with my family and Tara, right? So I think it's just we don't need to be extreme, and I think you guys were a great example, especially during the summer, of like doing both or doing all
Hmm.
of it, right?
Hmm.
Being able to do it all just because you decided to and because you plan to make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's really awesome. Okay, I had some question in my mind that I was going to ask you that I forgot about.
Oh no.
Um, but I think it was something to do. It was something to do with maybe with. I want to talk like one more point about like women empowerment, because I think I want to hammer that home even a little bit more, and maybe to the woman that's a bit intimidated to go to the gym or is not sure how to get started or is maybe like confused by all those different piece of information that we're seeing out there. I want to kind of go back to that one more time and say like what's one piece of advice or what's like one kind of mindset reframe that you could give them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely like getting a coach, not to be promoty, but for real, like I know so many friends who do lots of different classes and all these things, and like it's still great, and I'm happy for people to do anything that's good for their health and wellness. But
Yeah.
like when they say there's like a very specific thing that they're
Mhm.
targeting, I'm like, you're not gonna get that doing like your high intensity, whatever hit
Mhm.
classes, which like
Mhm.
I used to do and loved them for the adrenaline. And I was in pretty good shape. But again, like as soon as I shifted to more intentional weight training, like and definitely the nutrition, like I noticed such a quick change that I
Mhm.
was like frustrated. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I've just had to do this the whole time. Um, and like even if
Yeah.
it's just for a little bit, like even when I had started with you this time, like it was just to kind of help initially get over like the hurdle of like,
Mhm.
having a plan and making it a little bit easier. The other thing too, I know cost is obviously a thing for people and just in general, but I would actually say I think we honestly are like on par or even sometimes saving money now doing the coaching training because one, I reduced to a way cheaper gym. Like the gym's like
Hmm.
$20 a month or something instead of somewhere with all the classes and stuff. But
Right.
also like we don't really eat out as much. We're not buying, alcohol
Yeah.
and snacks and
Gotcha.
Uber eating like a cheesecake
Yeah. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
a Friday.
Yeah.
What a world we live in. Because like we just have it's easier to make stuff at home, or we
Yeah.
figured out
It's a good
different
point.
things to do and don't
It's a good
want
point.
to do that, or are more intentional when we do those things. But
Hmm.
it really hasn't, yeah, like financially, extra burdened us that much because you
Yeah.
can kind of fit it into your budget. Yeah, and just like getting started doing anything, like I totally get that, yeah, it can seem intimidating, but just starting wherever you can start. And like you said, it doesn't have to be like 4 or 5 times a week, but just like even getting in the habit of going. Like I would tell friends,
Hmm.
even just like start going, like even if it's for
Yeah.
like half an hour, but just getting into the habit of like
Yeah.
holding that time and going. And especially for like my human parent or human baby
Yeah.
parent friends, like whatever you can do is great. And also they've said to me like, it's their like me time also, or like
Yes.
self-care time. Like
Yes.
you listen to your favorite music or a podcast and like get, space that you need to just be yourself, focus on your health, and like you can balance that off with your partner, hopefully, or people that help care, for your family if you have that. But also such a good like role model and representation for kids or littles in your life if you don't
Yeah.
have kids, like, or other people. And then you're probably like, I know I'm a more patient, calm person after going to the gym because you're getting that stress
Yeah.
outlet. So I
Yeah. Yeah.
imagine, yeah, it helps you show up differently too.
Absolutely. All really good value. I really like this episode so far. Before we wrap it up, I do want to ask you if there's any kind of myths that got busted in your mind, kind of like throughout the initial transformation here that you've gone. Like, was there anything that you were like,
Mm,
wow, I thought this had to be this way? Or I know you said the thing about like the hit class, you were like, wow, I was doing those and it was
mhm.
actually, it just had to press these buttons over here. But was any like aha moments where you're like, Paris, are you just like talking like nonsense here? Is this actually going to work or?
Good question. I was actually thinking as you were saying that about cardio hilariously,
Okay.
because, and again, when I did before with a shorter time frame, it was like I was trying to like in 2 months lose like 10 pounds of fat loss and like really lean up and whatever. But I remember when we started and you were like, the cardio is just walking, like a step
Hmm.
goal. I was like, what? Like, this is not going to work. Like,
Yeah.
how possibly? I mean, you're also training, obviously, but
Yeah.
I was like, I had to run like 5 times a week last time. Like, there's no way. And somehow it is a way. And
Yeah.
obviously, if you like running or doing swimming or different cardio,
Yeah. We
like
can
you
integrate
can
that in for sure.
integrate that in. I know John likes to do more of that in the summer, so integrated like biking and
Hmm.
whatever in. But yeah, that was interesting and maybe like myth busting that you have to like, yeah, do hit sprinting and running and all this stuff to like lose weight. Like you definitely don't. And just doing like the walking, getting the steps in, and the nutrition being the biggest part for sure.
Hmm.
I would say, yeah, it was maybe a bit of the myth busting. I feel like there might have been something else, but I had lost it. But I know we just chatted so random. It's like a whole other thing, but about like creatine, and because it's very popular, I know right
Yeah.
now. But I remember being like, I'm gonna gain weight if I start it because I'd seen stuff about water retention, whatever. And you're like, no,
Right.
like you're
Right.
fine. It's like we'll talk about it, but it's okay. But yeah, probably the cardio thing, which was relieving because even though I play soccer, I actually hate running. Like
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
for running, I'm like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sprint running and whatever. So yeah, and it's still good cardio for your health and everything. But yeah, you don't have to be like marathon training to
Right.
lose weight or anything.
Very cool. I love that. That's one common one. And I always tell people, the lack of cardio that a lot of our clients do, and their mind is blown, especially the clients that have gotten like proper lean, like super lean. They're
Hmm.
like, their jaws on the floor, like, I've been doing 2 hours of Stairmaster, like, and you guys just did some steps. It's like, yeah, but, but
Yeah.
I think it's like, it doesn't, people like just making things harder than it has to be. Okay, and my last question before we wrap it up, Rachel, unless there's anything else you want to mention, is we ask this to every one of our new podcast episode recordees, if that's even a word, or attendees. I don't know if that would be the proper dictation, but what is one truth you learned about yourself? What is one truth that you learned about yourself?
One truth that I learned about myself. Probably that like I can be consistent even when life is inconsistent.
Cool.
Like you said, the last 8 months or so has been a lot of change out of nowhere. Like you got to fly in 3 days to go for a conference, change of plans, this kind of thing, and like it can feel hard, but yeah, just taking it week by week and planning out, like you can continue to show up. Are you going to be the exact same every time? No, obviously not, as you see by my grumpy gym texts in the morning. Like they're not always 100% I'm killing it workouts, but like I can and you can still create consistency with a system even when it feels a bit maybe chaotic.
I like that. It's almost like you learn how to make things flexible within the structure when you need to kind of act on the fly. And I think a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now is like skill development, right? Like maybe the first couple of weeks, if you had been thrown that trip to, way out up there, you would have been like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, right? But then later, once you build these skills, you're like, all right, I got this. And once you've done that 3 times, or once something's come up on your plate and you've adjusted 3 times, you're like, all right, like I've done this before. I have the confidence. And I think what people need to do is sometimes just hop in, take action. And the confidence comes from then being able to look back on the track record that you've created and be like, I got this. I can do it again. I've done it before.
Yes, definitely.
Amazing. This has been a great chat. Is there anything else that you want to say? Any other like inspiration, motivation, David Goggins type? No, not. Anything else that you want to add?
No, nothing major. Just like so glad I found you guys. I think it was like a friend who had recommended. And I think a lot of people too sometimes are maybe nervous about doing like online training versus doing it maybe in person. And like you guys have been so supportive. Like even if I hadn't had a bit of a foundation, like doing the calls and sending in, videos of the form and everything, like really helped, and like you said, built education as well. Would just encourage people and like give it a try. Like you don't have to be stuck in it forever if you don't want to be, but just like trying something different. Hopefully, it'll be great.
Thanks, Rachel. That's awesome. Really, really great podcast. I think we'll leave it there. And as always, for people listening, if you're listening on Spotify, I don't know, I guess is liking on Spotify or sharing, do some sort of interactions, subscribe, that if you're on YouTube. And there's lots more coming. And again, they got to watch John's episode. Come on.
Yeah,
we got to
see
both.
Now you have to, and tell us whose is better. And hopefully
okay. We'll make it a competition. All right, guys. That's it for today's episode of Truth Talks. We'll see you next time.